On this episode of What Do You Got? What percentage makes a difference between good and great?
Ooh, also, Microsoft can go suck my fucking dick. Stay tuned.
You're listening to Bro Down Podcast all fucking day. Oh, yeah.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bro Down Podcast. I'm Andy Smith.
And I'm Tim Fullen.
And this is What Do You Got?
What do you got?
You know what the deal is. What do you got when we bring a topic to the table that the other person doesn't know about, and then we just bullshit about it for a while.
We do.
First up.
I'm up. And you know what? Microsoft has become absolute garbage. And I'm here to explain why. And this is going to be less of us talking back and forth and more of me just kind of venting about my frustrations for the next couple of minutes.
Hit me with the facts.
So in my office, because of the whole COVID situation, we decided to get 2 laptops that are universal to everyone. We're not a huge office. We're about 20 people wide.
What do you mean by universal to everyone?
Anyone can borrow them at any given time.
So community laptops.
Community laptops.
Okay.
For the sole purpose of remotely logging into the office. That is what they're there for. They're not great laptops, whatever. So I had a very simple plan. All right, first and foremost, I am not an information systems person. I don't know servers. I don't know any of that crap. But I'm the youngest person there, and therefore, I know more than everyone else in my office.
Designated the IT guy.
So I came up with a plan immediately that I was going to take these computers. There was going to be an admin login, which is me, and then everyone else logs in. And that login, I was going to make the restrictions super, super tight. Basically, you can do nothing but remotely log in. Sounds like a good plan, right? That way they can't fuck with the computers.
Yeah.
The computers can't break if all you can do is go out.
Yeah.
Microsoft has made my job extremely difficult.
Okay.
Because they are obsessed with themselves. And this is a warning to everyone out there. If you get a new laptop or a new computer or whatever, don't let it go onto the internet before you're done setting it up. That was my life lesson. First and foremost, Microsoft is now insistent that you have a Microsoft account when you sign up, when you log in for the first time.
Yeah, that's what happened when I just put Windows on my computer.
They want everything to link up, which is what I did not want. I don't want 2 laptops that are community laptops to be passed around with my personal information on them. Even worse, if I use the company admin login to do all that crap, then we now have huge security hazards, right? And yes, you can make local accounts, but Microsoft has made it so obnoxiously hard to do that. Like, they're basically like, yeah, you can make a local account where it doesn't require a Microsoft Office account to set up.
Yeah.
But to do it, you have to go to Abu Dhabi. You have to convince Joe Rogan to go with you. Give him $50. Make him go down Main Street. He will give the $50 to a blah, blah, blah. It's complicated. It's not something that a typical person can do.
So what's the issue? They won't let you make separate accounts?
They will, but they want you to tie all the accounts together.
Why?
Actually, this was going to be one of my final points, but I'll tell you why right now. And this is a theory that I read after getting super frustrated and just starting Googling profanities about Microsoft. This popped up. Apple has their Apple accounts.
Yes.
And it is so useful and beneficial to people that it is part of their lives. It dictates a lot of things for a lot of people. And so second nature to them is that it is part of them. It's on their phones, it's on their computers, it's on their TVs, it's everywhere, and it's necessary. Google is the exact same way. Even Amazon, to a lesser degree, is the exact same way. All these things tie together in an important way where you are one with these accounts. They are integral to your lives. Microsoft wants you to do the same thing. But the problem is that they don't really offer anything that is good for that, except unless you're a gamer. Then you can tie all your gaming accounts together.
Yeah, I feel like Apple and the other ones that you mentioned do a good job with that because the devices are already set up for that.
And you know what the problem is?
I don't like that, though.
Not everyone likes... Yeah, I agree. Not everyone even likes it. But the problem is that there is no Microsoft phone.
Yeah.
At least with Google, you have an Android device. With Apple, you have Mac devices. With Microsoft, you just have computers. And not every computer I sit down at, I want linked.
No.
So can I hold on? I'm not done venting.
No,
There's
I'm just thinking about like the pros and cons for that. I'm just thinking. Go ahead.
Well, they are saying it does help enhance security, and it links a whole bunch of things together to make your life quote unquote easier. Bullshit.
Yeah.
So because of this complication, you don't have a local account. Well, now they want you to be more secure on your local computer. So when you sign up for the first time, they're like, here, why don't you put in a pin for the first time? You're like, no, I don't want a pin. I have a password that I use. And they're like, no, pin. You're going to use a pin.
That's what happened to me.
Yeah. You can disable the pin. But when you go to disable the pin, the disable or the remove button is grayed out, purposely grayed out. To remove it, you have to set up a new pin and then put in nothing, and then it yells at you, and you have to say, yes, I know what I'm doing. I want to do it anyway, and hit OK. So there's a remove button that...
So when it removes the pin, do you then get to put a password in?
Yes.
Because I need to do that.
I'll walk you through when we get back upstairs.
Okay.
So there's that. There is the friggin'
I didn't like that. Just to back you up here.
Yeah.
When I was setting it up, I was like, I don't want a pin because I didn't have a pin, and I didn't know what linking my whatever email to my computer was gonna do. So I didn't want to do that.
Exactly.
There was no skip.
There's no skip.
There was no skip. I'm like, this is fucking bullshit because I don't even know what the fuck this is doing. And what if you're setting the computer up for somebody else?
And now you're feeling my rage the first time I did this, because if you don't connect it to the internet, it skips all that. It skips all that. You don't have to do any of that. But there's no warning. There is no, here, if you connect to the internet, we're going to require you to do all this. Because then they can't connect to all of your other devices immediately, so it kind of...
And most people want to be connected to the internet to begin with, because when you install a new computer, if you're installing Windows, you have to install the drivers for the new things that you're uploading as well.
Yes.
So you need the internet to do that, because the disks that come with that are usually outdated, and you have to upgrade them anyway.
And with our laptop, we don't have disks.
Yeah.
Like, there's a whole bunch of things. So there's that stupid pin thing. Then, when I finally went to connect the remote login, the way we remotely log into our office requires certain criteria.
Yeah.
And I set it up. My goal was to set it up so that everyone's login was present on the screen. They would still need their work password. So it'd be secure.
But you could basically drop down of everyone's login information.
Yeah, it's right there on the desktop. Lorraine sees Lorraine. She double-clicks Lorraine. She types in her work password, and she goes into her work computer. But it was insistent that, no, you're Tim Fulton. So you're logging in as Tim Fulton. So someone who understands what they're doing could go in and be like, no, I am so-and-so instead. But that was not the point of what I was doing.
Yeah.
I wanted one click and for it to be done. It refused, absolutely refused to do that. I just spit everywhere. So I was getting to the point, it was like 2 hours in.
Yeah.
And I could just feel like the fire rising in my chest. And the last thing that got me, and it's something that's been out there for a while. Have you tried to save anything in a Word document or an Excel file recently?
No, because I don't have Word or Excel other than at my work.
So they've done this thing where the first thing that pops up, instead of their old, perfect, where would you like to save this? It now says, you want to save this to OneDrive? And you have to say...
You can disable it.
Oh, you can disable that?
Yeah.
See, but no one knows that.
Yeah, see, I have a love-hate with it because I don't like Macs.
Yeah.
Because they're, at least to me, and I'm not super educated on Macs, but I've used them before, the things that you can do with them are limited.
Yeah.
Like, the things that you can do with your devices are infinite, kind of. Like, you can link it to your phone, you can link it to all this stuff, but the things that you can actually do to alter that in like a software type of thing are very limited. The good thing about PCs is that, which is usually Windows, Mac, or PC, Microsoft, is that you're able to kind of customize your PC the way that you want it, right? You don't have to get Mac's products.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
put whatever you want in there.
Yeah.
And that's what people like about it. They don't like being people that like PCs, usually gamers, stuff like that, because it allows them to basically make their own things with their settings and what they want to have.
Yes.
But one of the problems with it is, and I got fed up with this a couple years ago, I told you about having to rely on somebody else to fix your shit. And that's when I started to learn how to build computers. But the other thing with it too is that there's a whole IT side to that, which is way more complex. And unless you specifically know how to do it. Whereas Mac, if you type in like, hey, how do I do this? It'll just be like, bring, like an iPhone. It brings it right up.
Yeah.
But they're limited.
Yeah.
With a PC, you can do way more shit, but you have to know exactly where to look to go in and find those things.
And that's my point. Like, even setting up this secondary, I eventually got everything to work out. We had the 2 laptops. The one of them I had to set back to a factory reset just so I could start all over.
Yeah.
Which fucked me over even more because these things came from China, from Hong Kong specifically.
Oh, so it's all Chinese.
There's a whole bunch of Chinese characters all over the place. And I was like, you know what? I don't even fucking care.
Yeah.
Because they're just all going to use this to remotely log in. So you know what? Chinese characters all over the place.
Yeah.
Don't give a shit. But what was the moral of my story?
So the thing is with OneDrive, the thing is with stuff like that, which is good, is that so many people have issues with this. If you are trying to find something, what you can usually do is if you go on Google and you look up what you're trying to change and then hit filter and just go to this past year. Because they're going to give you shit that's really popular from 2012.
I do and don't agree with you at the same time. The problem with OneDrive, in my honest opinion, is the same thing, the same problem with Dropbox. But when people go download Dropbox, they kind of know what they're getting into.
What do you mean? In what way?
So with OneDrive and Dropbox, they save things both locally and in the cloud. First off, I hate the fucking cloud. No one likes the cloud. Stop it with the goddamn cloud. I don't want clouds. No one wants clouds.
No, the
only people who want clouds are the people who sell fucking clouds and are like, hey, we have a cloud. You want $50 a month, man?
The only reason that a cloud is beneficial to most people is if you are working from multiple computers on a consistent basis.
Yes.
Or if you don't back up your shit.
Yes.
And your computer gets fried.
Yes.
Those are really the only two things.
Yes.
But the cloud became popular on phones because data on phones was really expensive.
Yes.
And the thing was, they were like, hey, listen, don't buy a fucking 256 gigabyte phone for an extra $400. Just get the cloud for $2 a month for 50 gigs. But now memory is one of the cheapest things that you can buy for a computer.
It's even more dramatic than that, man. Like, I want to wrap this up relatively quickly because we've already been
rant away,
for a while.
sir.
And I know I'm sounding like an old man with this because I'm basically saying, blah, technology's bad.
Yeah.
It was better in the old days. But with the 2 things with the clouds. One, we recently had to get new document management software for, I work in an accounting office. Document management is actually surprisingly difficult. The way we have everything set up locally and the way our accounting software interacts with it is very specific. And it's very good. But the problem is that all the accounting software is going away from that. They no longer integrate with you directly. They now only integrate with their cloud software they have to purchase. We just purchased.
Yeah, they're forcing you.
They're forcing everyone's hands. And there is no alternative outside of building your own thing, which a small company like ours can't afford to do because that would require IT services in the tens to twenties of thousands of dollars. But we just bought cloud software, and it's going to cost us like $8,000 a year.
Yeah.
What used to cost us $50 to integrate now costs $8,000 a year. But it has a nice front end. Fuck you.
Yeah. See, see what they're doing is they want everything on the cloud. Number one, because it's cheaper because they don't have to physically have things anymore.
Yeah.
And they have more control over it.
Yeah.
And in a perfect world, it's good. But we don't live in a perfect world. So one of the reasons why you want something that's on your computer is the same reason for why you want your game on a computer instead of on a cloud. Is because, hey, internet goes out. I can still play my game. I can still work on Microsoft Word. Hey, storm goes by, knocks out the fucking power, knocks out the cable. I can still do my accounting work. I don't need an internet connection to do my fucking Excel sheets because I can only use it if I'm hooked up to the cloud.
We have that problem when the past hurricane came. Hurricane Isaias?
Hurricane, yeah, whatever.
Hurricane I. We lost internet. We had power, but we lost internet. And so the majority of our workforce was kind of sitting on our hands.
Yeah.
And the worst part is that our main accounting software is a local program. We can use it. But to log in, you need the cloud.
Yeah.
They hold the password on their servers. So we physically, the only thing stopping us from doing the majority of our work was there was nothing to check our passwords against.
Yeah.
So no one could get into it.
Yeah, see, that's the problem is like what they're doing is they're streamlining the whole process. But the problem with that is that since it's all connected, if one piece goes down, the entire engine stops.
The entire engine
So
stops.
it's beneficial in like it's just one click.
Yeah.
But if there's an issue with anything, everything goes down and your entire operation goes down, which time is money.
Yep.
And again, it's still new. They haven't figured out all the bugs, and nobody ever figures out all the bugs. But it can be extremely frustrating, especially when people are used to things in a certain way. And
Yes.
one thing that Apple does better, at least with their phones, than a lot of other companies is they explain how to use new technology better than anyone else.
They do.
The
They
problem with Microsoft and stuff like that is that they'll basically, there's no like option of like, hey, I'm new to this, I'm not new to this, I'm an expert. It's basically like you get a broad like, hey, this is a new thing. There's no like information. How do I do this?
Yeah.
Like right click on
Yeah.
that and it just tell me how to do it. There's
Yeah.
none of that. There's none of it.
Oh, that was my point before. This is the last thing, then we'll move on to your topic. So the moral of my I hate Microsoft thing, there is a setting to change users to remote login users only. You can do that. But to get to that, I had to open command prompt, find a very specific command. Like, they have an option to change what kind of user is this. It's a user or an administrator. They have a whole list of options, but they hide that in the back end. So
Yeah.
I eventually was able to very simply do it. But to do it, I had to be a young 30, 20-year-old person.
Yeah.
Because no one else in my office was going to figure that out.
Yeah, you can disable OneDrive, by the way. If you just literally type in like OneDrive into the thing,
That's happening tomorrow.
and
then,
it'll
because
have like
I'm
a little
fucking fed
on-off
up.
button. I'm pretty sure. I'll show you how to do it when we get back
Yeah,
up.
yeah. We'll exchange knowledge. All right, this was cathartic. Andy, what do you got?
Okay, so what percentage makes the difference?
5.
5%. So
And that's what do you got? I'm just kidding.
in recent fights, we've seen, and this is what brought this on. In
Okay,
recent
go
fights,
ahead.
we've seen guys who used to be fucking great, and now it seems like they're not great. But some of the guys, Tyron Woodley, for example, it's not like he lost his chin. It's not like he looks slow. He doesn't look one way or the other. It's like almost like he lost nothing physically whatsoever. But he went from a guy who looked like no one was going to beat him forever to he can't win a fight.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was just thinking, in every facet of life, what is the percentage of the difference that makes somebody good at something or makes somebody great at something? And I think that people have it in their heads for the most part, and I could be wrong, so this is like totally open, just whatever you have on this. I think in our heads, we make it like this giant percentage difference, and I've been thinking like it might just be a small percentage in a bunch of different areas. Instead of like Michael Jordan, right? That guy is renowned as like the greatest basketball player of all time,
Yeah.
right? But if you look at other guys, like it's not like he had physical attributes as far as height or speed. There's guys that were fast just like him, tall just like him, whatever. But he had like percentage differences in like dedication, discipline to get to practice, stuff like that other guys. And what is the difference in anything, any fucking thing, not just sports?
Yeah.
But what's the difference in like somebody being just okay and then being really good, and then the difference between that and great? And I think it's like, especially with sports, it almost comes down to like millisecond type shit.
It is. It's not a huge percentage, I would guess, but it's enough of a percentage. I think the difference between good and great is largely perception, right? Because if you and I were the only basketball players to ever exist, I might be good. Imagine I get 93 throws out of 100. I don't know what any stats are.
Yeah,
I've never
okay.
played basketball ever. But you get 95. Then you're going to look like a fucking stud next to me. I think it's in that way of I mean, that might be a very specific example, but like if a guy's fast and you're ever so slightly faster, every time you're in a race, you're going to outshine him. So it doesn't matter how much faster you are. All that matters is that you're faster than the rest.
Yeah.
And that can go with anything. Even when I'm working with my dad at the accounting office, to bring that back up again because I'm a fucking nerd. Dad is so good and so fast with math that it doesn't matter how good at math you are, how much knowledge you have in accounting, because he's going to get there first. He's just going to know first. That's the end of it. He's just going to know first. And this is a weird example to go off of, but like if you're trying to figure out how much tax somebody owes, you can be thinking about it and you'll get to the right answer, but he'll get there first. And everyone will know him as getting there first and getting there accurately.
But what is the difference? This is what I'm saying, though, is that the difference with your dad getting there faster or you getting there faster, is that a matter of that's unachievable? Or is it a matter of he's just this much more percentage-wise either dedicated to doing it, more focused on it, or whatever?
I think you can pick and choose. It depends on who and what. Because I think there are some people out there who just have, it's one of those things like some people just have natural skill better.
Yeah.
Or more natural skill. So if you and I start something at the same exact time and one of us has more natural skill, one of us will outshine the other. But to answer your question real fast, but experience matters too. So if you have more natural skill than I do in something, but I do it for a year straight, maybe I'll start outshining you. But if we're doing it at the same time and our experience is the same, I don't know.
So let's get this into a somewhat of a control group. Okay. So let's talk about something that. Let's talk about like two guys if they are competing in the same sport.
Or girl, you sexist
or
fucking
girl,
pig.
whatever. If they have similar attributes and all that stuff, you ever see that thing where like you see an athlete, right? And he'll go from being let's just bring it back to MMA since we do an MMA show.
Yeah.
Tyron Woodley again.
Okay.
Hit a stride where it looked like he couldn't be beaten. Like a lot of guys hit that stride.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And then it's like all of a sudden someone like took their power. It's like they were the Mario guy who got the star. And no matter what he hit, it just didn't hurt him. And then all of a sudden the star's gone.
Yeah.
But nothing changed. Mario's still the same guy. It's just he doesn't have the star anymore. And it makes you think when you're looking, not even comparing to somebody else, comparing that person, that athlete to themselves. What was the difference between yesterday's Robbie Lawler, yesterday's Tyron Woodley, yesterday's Anderson Silva, and today's? Because it's like almost like overnight, something changed. Something changed in there where they went from who the fuck is ever going to touch this guy?
Yeah.
To like, man, he should retire in like a blink of an eye.
I think it's, especially when you get to that level of sport, I think it's so minuscule because those guys, I mean, we're couch heroes, right?
Yeah.
So those guys
barely.
I get tired from sitting.
Barely.
Those guys, if we were to get into a ring with them, all of them would rip our heads off before we would even know what happened.
Yes.
So at that level of sport, I mean, I think that's like a difference of Robbie Lawler is at 100% and he's on top of the world, and Robbie Lawler is now at 99% and he can't catch a break. Because that 1% difference is what makes the difference in the sport. Whether it's that 1% is he slowed down because of age, maybe his injuries are catching up to him, maybe it's psychosomatic where he lost a couple and now I
think that's what it is more than anything when we see the fall from grace, other than a major injury or something like that.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say it is because everybody, whether you're an athlete, you play Dungeons and Dragons or whatever, everyone has had moments where they're doing something and they get into this mental state where they're just fucking on. Like you're just on, right? Whether it be, you're playing fucking beer pong and you can't just hit a night where you can't fucking miss, right? And I think that people that are really disciplined, focused, whatever, they try to attain that and try to pay attention to it and they strive to get back to that. Yeah. Most people, including myself, they take those moments for granted and they just think like, oh, I'm just on tonight or what. But it's like, what did you do to get there? Something happened in your head to get you there. That's almost like a superpower. Yeah. Where you went up a couple percent and it's a real thing.
It is a real thing.
Like it's a measurable thing almost. But usually nobody ever knows what the fuck they did to get there. But it is like, I like looking at one person and comparing them to themselves because it takes out a lot of outside factors of like comparing them to somebody else.
Yeah.
Because we've all seen guys when they're in a sport where you're like, dude, this guy can't fucking miss a catch today.
Yeah.
Or like this guy's struck out everybody. Like just they hit a zone, and then it's like you try to get back there, and like what was it? Like,
Yeah.
What was it that made you go to that level?
And it's weird because it could be different for everyone. Like using the strikeout metaphor, I know people, and we're using this as a metaphor because I don't know actual pitchers.
Yeah.
But I know people who, if they were pitching and they were doing a no-hitter, and that 5th inning came, and they're like, "Oh man, I'm getting there." Half the people would be like, "I'm fucking in it. I'm fucking in it right now," and the other half would be like, "Oh God, oh God,
Yeah.
oh, I have to keep going without anyone hitting."
Yeah.
And it freaks them out.
Yeah.
So like, I think it's a little different for everyone. What gets them into that level of? But you're right. But the point is, you're right. I think it's psychosomatic. Like I think you're in your head.
But the point is that
When
because
loose.
it's the same person
Yeah.
that we're comparing it to, and they didn't have this crazy transformation of like anything physical. It's just they're on, then they're off. The percentage has to be minuscule. It has to be.
I think so.
Because otherwise they'd be able to recognize like, whoa, hey now, like I did
broken.
this and it made me that much better. It's just like almost so immeasurable, but the results are like clearly measurable.
Yeah.
But the difference in like the performance that they're doing is just like little things. Like when someone throws a kick and the guy misses it by this much. Like that's the difference of like a 0.1% of either you just got head kick knocked out or you look like a fucking ninja.
Yeah. It's
Right?
true. It's true. And
And-
Adesanya is the best. We just saw him a couple weekends
Yeah.
ago. He's one of the best examples of that.
Yeah.
He dodges like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
If he was half a step slower.
Yeah.
Not even half a step slower.
Yeah, a
Wait.
tenth of a step slower.
We wouldn't even be saying his name.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be talking about him.
Yeah.
We
We
wouldn't
talk
know
about
who he is.
Costa.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that everyone knows that feeling, but nobody knows really how to get there.
How to tap into it.
Yeah, and that's where sometimes I think like superstition comes in, because superstition is a weird thing, right? Because really, like people say, "Oh, you're superstitious, you're stupid." It's like, yeah, that's true, but at the same time, if it gets your head to stop worrying about insignificant shit, it's not really stupid. It's stupid because it could backfire.
Yeah.
But what I mean is everyone has their ritual. I need to have a steak dinner before I play a basketball game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if
yeah.
you don't have a steak dinner, it's like, well,
Oh,
that could mean a
fuck.
bunch
Oh,
of things,
fuck.
right?
Yeah.
Like, but just your brain going like, hey, I did everything I was supposed to do. It's like studying for a test.
Yeah.
If you studied as much as you could, there's really no reason to be worried because you did everything you could.
I think you're right. I think part of the superstition thing is getting your head out of it, right?
Yeah, like-
because you're no longer focusing on
Shit
the
that doesn't.
sport,
Yeah.
whatever's gonna happen. You're focusing on shit that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But in a way that's good because you're not.
It's less things that are interfering
Yeah.
with your overall goal.
Yeah, because when we're especially with sports, when you're talking about like that 1% difference, you have to kind of let yourself go through the motions. It's at that point, a lot of it is like, I almost said knee-jerk reaction. It's like compulsory, right?
Yeah.
The best people think, but they don't think.
It's automatic.
It's automatic. They just do. You put in the thought already. You put in the work. You put in the effort.
Yeah.
You just do. But, so when you start thinking, you start causing problems.
And a lot of guys that hit those strides, when they get interviewed, when they talk about it, it's almost like they're on complete autopilot.
yeah, yeah.
It's almost like they're not really in control. It's just they almost like
It's like
they
being
met up
arrested.
with this thing in their head, and that thing in their head was like, "You just sit down, we got this."
Yeah.
And they just accepted it, and they said, "Hey, you just take over," and you're there, you're along for the ride. But it's like you are not saying left punch. You're just. It's almost like you're 1000% present in the moment. Nothing else is going on but what's present in the moment, and that's a weird thing because we're not really like that. We're always worried about something else. But to be 100,000% just like living in that moment and not really making decisions, you're just
Yeah.
there. You're just
Yeah,
reacting.
You're just there. That's how I am when I go to pizza.
Pizza.
I'm 100% in the moment. I'm there. There's no thought. I just fucking start
Oh,
slaying.
I thought you said when I go to pizza.
I did. I fucked up.
I'm like, what's a pizza?
Me, grammar, good, no, bad, English.
All right, we're running this into the ground here now. So, any other thoughts on percentages?
No. You sound like you want to talk us out. Why don't you talk us out, Andy?
I'll talk us out. Do you hate Microsoft? Do you think they're shitty? Do you like Apple? Go to brodownpro.com. Leave a comment. Okay? Like and subscribe. We always got new products up for, right? We have new products coming up?
We do have new products coming up. I'm going to cut you off there. Also, we just opened up a portal on the website so you can give us your own topics.
Write them in.
Write them in. Let us know what you think we should be talking about, and maybe we'll actually.
We're not even going to ask for your fucking email. But if you want to see, get a notification when your question is going to be answered, leave your email, and we will send you an email when the episode is going to air.
Yeah.
But you don't have to leave your email. It'll just leave a comment.
We promise not to sell it to some weird Chinese website.
Yeah, and we're not going to send you 1,000 things in the email because we don't have time to do that.
We don't.
We don't.
We're the worst business people ever.
Yeah.
All right, we'll catch you guys next time.
Later.
You're listening to Bro Down Podcast all fucking day.